Hello, and welcome back to Encounter Roleplay on this fine Monday. Shout out to the Mouse Guard crew who just finished their escapades for this week as we prepare to dive into our Mutants and Masterminds Warhammer 40k game. Whew, I'm excited. Is everyone excited? I am. So if you are watching on YouTube, we are live with this show every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So come and hang out with us. We appreciate you showing up in chat, sharing your thoughts. Leave us a comment, thumbs up, all that cool stuff. There's a bell, right? I heard this about YouTube. They have a bell now. Yeah, apparently you ring the bell and then you get notifications. I think that's how it works. But meanwhile, here on Twitch, you can hit a follow button for free. Or if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can hit subscribe. Or you could just subscribe with money. That works too. But why don't we start by introducing who we are, who we're playing, what we're up to, all of those shenanigans. Bastian, why don't we start with you today? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Had a busy week last week and looking forward to today. So I'm sorry I had to miss last week. But today we get to do something new and exciting, and I get to play for at least half a session, I believe, unless we all die before that. But I'll be playing Donnie today, at least initially, who is a what's the word? Volunteered Arbeits chief in the Inquisition now.
Adoptee.
Yeah, adoptee, who used to be a liaison, but now, at least temporarily, he's on a mission to save the planet from heresy.
That's a very important mission that we are under. Also joining us on this mission, just Jason, please. Who are you playing, and what do you remember, and all of that good stuff?
Hello, just Jason, please. Jason Gatron, playing Vasily Taltos, the lovely incinerate, exhausted from last session due to some potentially holy intervention on behalf of the Emperor, blessed be his name. Last I recall, the player, not Vasily, we were traveling quite hastily down a road when perhaps our minds were whisked away from our physical forms by, shall we say, psychic means. Yeah. So I'm sure nothing will possibly go wrong. Probably. Maybe.
Be fine.
Yeah.
And Cleric of Cord, how are you doing this week?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Had a great weekend, and now I'm here. I'm at Cleric of Cord. I am playing Stefania Grigori, a Sister of Battle of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, who has just killed a daemon and is still quite splattered with daemon blood. Rather disappointed that it didn't fix the problem. A little concerned about Vasily. A lot concerned about Vasily. And ready to hide from Matilda.
Hide? What do you have to hide? Very curious indeed. And Pipe World Build, how are you doing? Are you looking forward to this madness?
I have been waiting for 2 weeks, and I am so glad to be back here in the dark far future playing its most murderous adept, Kifkin Severus Dracon. When last we left, Kifkin had gotten to deliver a care package, cobble together more explosives, more explosions, and then be severely and deeply troubled by all the truths that were revealed. And now, truth be told, he's where he never wanted to be.
Oh, Kifkin, I thought we were friends. And I myself today jumping into the GM seat for the first half of the session as we dive into Matilda Hurst's mind, the Inquisitor herself, as psychic powers backfire as she attempts to mass communicate an image. Who knew hitting, BCC to all your contacts was a bad idea? So, before we do get into this game that I have prepared for us, there are a few things that I should mention. Firstly, we are sponsored by Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles that you see are going to be done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and check out their D&D, Warhammer, 40k, minis, and more. 20% off. You don't even have to use a code. 20% off. And shout out, of course, to our sponsors, Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. When we hit 20 retweets, we give away a set of those dice to you in chat. So check that out. Hit that retweet button. And I think that is everything. No, it's not. I should remind you, you can interact. As we have already seen, you can donate bits and doleros to affect the game. You can donate to give us Nat 1s, Nat 20s, Wild Magic Surges, and more. We have given Misha's Nat 20 to Bastian for the sake of today. But we appreciate that very much, and I hope you all enjoy Kitty Cam as much as I did. If there is a moment that you love during the show, please do clip it on Twitch, and we can use those in highlight reels, so hard to say, on Twitter, and to make GIFs and all of that fun stuff. And it's always fun to see those little moments get captured and relive them later. So, without further ado, I shall hand you over to myself as we begin our game.
Hi.
Hi. Vasily. You awaken exhausted. You do not remember falling asleep. But here you lay, in a bunk, on a starship, journeying across space. You know that because the familiar hum of the engines is ever present. What do you look like, Vasily? When you think of yourself in your mind, what do you look like?
In Vasily's mind's eye, I suppose, you see that hanging from the sort of regalia that he normally wears, the Mordian Iron Guard coat that sort of clings to his frame, hanging from that covering burnt fabric are purity seals, which bear thoughts of the day and sort of tattered, scattered thoughts of the Emperor and of purity. That mars his sort of frame, which is much more gaunt and almost sickly, as if he's somewhat spider-like in frame. And additionally, his skin takes on sort of a soft ember-like glow, as if there is a fire within him, but given his exhaustion, it's sort of like a candle that's flickering in and out, rather than like a roaring flame.
Flickering incandescent light bouncing off of the kind of brushed aluminum of the wall beside you. You notice another flickering in this room too. The screen is on, the display above the small terminal. What do you do?
Look at the screen, see if there's any way to interact with that terminal.
Okay, as you move from your bed for a closer look at the screen, checking out the terminal, you see a familiar array of keys, although you cannot read the symbols etched upon them. And the image itself on the screen flickers. Hundreds of faces. They blur into one, morph back into one, backwards and forwards through hundreds and thousands. You recognize some of them, but then they're gone so quickly. You see your own. Bright, cheeks flushed red. And it stays there between the flickering of the others, always coming back to you. What do you do?
I sort of peer at it intently to see if there's some sort of message I'm missing, or if there's like some sort of vision I'm supposed to receive. So like sort of scouring these faces to see if there's something more, or if I'm just being shown a slideshow.
As you gaze closer, attempting to understand, attempting to follow, to find pattern, your face begins to change. From a neutral passport-style photo, to a smile, to a grin, to a manic, wide, full-toothed, laughing face. You see Safenya flicker past. And Kipfkin. You see others you have seen on this planet. But always back to your face, which morphs and changes. And now you see a split begin to form down the center of your face. A tear. And your eyes, they glow bright and red. And the longer you stare, the more you see it. Emerging from within you. This half-demon. This form. One you recognize from the ritual we just encountered. Tearing its way out of you behind the flickering of 1,000 faces. What do you do?
Do I have any weapons beside me or anything? Or is it literally just bare knuckles?
You look down at your ensemble, looking for a weapon, looking for an item, and the harder you think about weapon, as you turn, you glance to the bench that you just left, the bed, the bunk, and there, as if materializing, your flamer arrives, called by you.
As calmly as possible, in stark opposition to that sort of laughing and cackling and splitting face, I'm just going to go over to my flamer and set that terminal alight.
As you do, you hear screams. You hear the sounds of battle. You hear the execution of 100 people, their blood running thick. You can feel it at your feet, soaking into your boots, into your socks. No, you're barefoot. As you look down, you see your warrior's garb slowly dissolving away. Vasily, what do you wear when you're not at war?
When I'm not at war, that would have been a long time ago, and the only thing I would have possibly worn would be just the simplest of clothes. I came from a family that was of decent means, but after I received schooling, and after I sort of took on the role of incinerant, I switched that sharply. I eschewed most things and basically wear like a tattered poet shirt and like the barest of like greaves, nothing spectacular.
And this is what you find yourself in now as the flames tear up through the terminal. You hear the buzz of electricity as the wires melt and short circuit, the smell of plastic and metal contorting. And your face, your torn, demonic face, still stares at you through the flames and the smoke. Vasily Daltos. Your name is whispered. Incinerant. More and more details of your life become whispered to you, as if read from a file. And then you begin to hear other names. Names you don't know, names you don't recognize, details you are unfamiliar with. And they layer much like the flickering of the faces. But now that screen is locked in a contorted horror, a reflection of you that is so far from who you are. It's terrifying. I'd like you to roll a d20 for me, please.
Great. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Just do that real quick. Oh no, that's either really good or really bad. Natural 20.
Okay, with a natural 20,
Okay.
you turn to the window, the star-facing window, and the curtain, the blind, catches a light as the fire spreads from the terminal around your room, and it disappears like paper into fine black ash, as though the fire curls around you, striking up now your mattress, your bed, and into the wardrobe, and around to the door as you are encircled by flame. But beyond, in the stars, you see your friends. You see your friends down on a planet, walking. Kipkin, how do you see yourself in your mind?
Kifkin sees himself less as a person. In place of flesh, there is parchment, scribed with hymns, records, blasphemies. He is a hunched over thing, almost like wads of paper, and yet still the red robes of an adept grace this frame. There is no face, just paper and ink.
Safenya, beside you is a golem, a straw man, made of paper and ink, in the robes of an adept. But how do you appear in your own mind?
In my armor. It is a suit of power armor, but it is spotless, polished, and as if she was on in a dress parade. There's a flowing cape. Everything is immaculate, covered with prayers, purity stripped. It's armor, the hood down, the helm down, and her weapons.
Towering beside you, Kipkin, almost a perfect model, a replica of everything a Sister of Battle should be, down to the finest of details. And in front of the pair of you, a war-torn landscape, twisted barbed wire and thick and deep trenches, muddy. What do you do?
Stride forward into battle, weapons out.
As you walk through, the mud sucks at the heavy plate shoes. And there's a smattering sound as the mud is flicked. Another stride, another step. But all is strangely quiet here. Kipkin, you're a man of paper and ink. How do you traverse this landscape?
Again, this is a dream. This is not the place of flesh and bone. And as such, one can fly, or at least hover a little. Such is the thing of places with cherubs and servo skulls. So, just drifts along like a leaf on the breeze.
And you feel it push you, this breeze. It is a strong wind that hurls you across the landscape, above trenches in which lay the broken, twisted bodies of men, of women. You see, too, the remains of explosives. And in the back of your mind, you can still see yourself wiring up your care package, preparing for its detonation. You pass a sign, but the words, they must be words, mean nothing to you. And you have a terrible fear that language is lost to you now.
With that little sense of horror, that creeping dread, worming its way, the pages that make up this balled-up place of a head tear, and with jagged, ragged pieces, a mouth forms. Ragged, toothed pieces of paper. Ichor, like ink, flowing down, staining the pages beneath the chin. Oh, no. No, not now. No. This is wrong.
Kipfkin has drifted across the landscape ahead of you. You're weighed down by the heavy, laborious, pristine ornamental armor, Sefenia. He is nearly out of sight. What do you do?
She keeps trudging. Just every step, fighting against the pull of the mud. She can hear the servos whining as it fights against it. And just one foot in front of the other, always moving forward. Just trudging through the mud, just however long it takes to get there. She will keep moving, even as the mud tries to pull her down.
There's a sharp sound of metal on metal as barbed wire catches you. But the sound is more like a violin string played poorly. And it echoes around this world. And then your next step, a crack. Your next step, a boom. The sky above had been that of the night, but now it erupts in fire and flame. A face of torment stares down at you. Both of you roll a d20 for me, please. Okay. Sefenia, with that 18, you see streaking across this fiery torment a comet, a falling star, a fragment of something that drifts through the atmosphere. And you can follow its curve a long, long way. And you notice this path has turned, and it appears to be circling back to you. This is no natural arc. Whatever this is, it seeks you.
Her weapons are drawn.
Okay. Kipfkin, you erupt into flame as an explosion rips through your paper form. And you see, peering out, you're part of a wall. No, you're a person. You're a person of words. Vasily stands before a view screen. His room ablaze around him. He watches down on the planet as Sefenia trudges and then stops and stares. And then her weapons are drawn. Vasily, the sound of the fire changes. And And behind you emerges this fiery form, words ablaze. Kipkin. You know it is him, although he appears nothing like the familiar adept.
Vasily. Vasily. We must run.
I sort of like shield my eyes from this bursting flame figure and just blink a few times, and I must say, dear friend, I'm in complete agreement. Where? I just sort of ask, just nonchalantly.
Just staring through the blaze, pain racking what this body can hold. Ink spilling out, hissing as it hits the floor. Just what little semblance of the view screen, what little semblance of the porthole in the ship. Balled up fist, burning, just starts pounding repeatedly against the adamantine strong glass, feebly trying to get through into the vacuum of space.
Donnie, how do you appear in your own mind?
Donnie's mind image is a reflection of what he was on the planet. Though his Arbet's uniform is unblemished and proud in a way, but his face isn't proud, but that serious. Where you know him as kind of cheerful for the planet. He doesn't look that way at all. It's like he's looking for the Emperor's light, sorts.
You stand on a shoreline, thin, frail grasses pushing up through the sand, and before you an ocean that reflects a perfect blue sky. Gulls circle lazily overhead, with every wave that crashes on the shore before your feet. You hear whispers. Words you don't understand. Names. But they are all Matilda's voice. That you are sure of.
Donnie looks around, looking for where the voice is coming from, and as they come from all directions, eventually he just looks up. If there's anything there, looks into the water.
As you look into the water, it's not your face nor your mind's face that you see reflected, but it is Matilda's. She stares, blinking back at you. Her face disappearing into the foam as the wave breaks and falls over. But then she reappears again. The longer you stare, the longer she seems to stay. What do you do?
He hesitates and touches the water after what seems like an eternity, reaching for Matilda.
She disappears from your fingers as they break the surface tension, but the water is warm, comforting. The breeze passes you, carrying the faintest hint of smoke.
He looks around, trying to see where the smoke is coming from.
And as you turn, you see now behind you where the sky is split in two. Here on the beach it is day. There beyond, a fiery night sky with a blazing trailing comet ripping through it. You notice now the broken fence and the bands of barbed wire. Matilda, hurry! It's almost so distant you miss it. This call. But it is from there, that twisted, war-torn scape beneath the night sky, that you are being called.
Just before he runs towards it, he looks back at the water. Seeing, I assume it's just going to be water now when he looks back. And
yep.
Checks what he's got on, and then starts running towards the call.
What are you wearing, Donnie?
Donnie is wearing Arbeid's uniform, carapace, as he was wearing before, but instead of being acid weathered, it's perfect condition, as if it's new. And he only has his duty pistol by his side in this case, if we're talking weapons.
Okay. And as you look down to that duty pistol, preparing to arm yourself, it is gone. Replaced instead is a long blade, longer than your arm, with great barbs that twist and project out.
As soon as he sees that, there's the panic in his eyes, and he it's in a scabbard, or is it's on his belt, or is just
it's in his hand.
It's in his
As
hand.
he thought about that weapon and arming himself, the sword had appeared in his hand and his duty pistol vanished.
He looks if there's any sign of Imperial insignia on it, or if it's marked by anything he saw down in the temple.
What was his favorite brand of cereal as a child?
I've got no clue.
I'm
Probably
gonna
it's something.
suggest if he grew up on the planet that we found him on, Phelan 3, 4, 5.
No,
Well,
he actually grew up in one of the bigger one of the force worlds of the system.
Okay. So the insignia that you see is one of this sweet bakery. It was one of the few places you could get that wasn't a standardized food pre-packaged with insignia on, and it's just this small sweet image of a Danish, like a round swirl with the little cherry in the middle, and that is the emblem that is on this sword.
That gives him some kind of comfort, I guess. And then there's this doubt in his mind: is this real? Now that his pistol went to a sword, and but he's here, so
it feels real.
Yeah, and then he tries to feel if the sword is good or bad, like on intuition.
Okay, make a d20 roll for me.
I will. A 7.
On a 7, you know you've seen no sword like this. You know that it is not standard in the Imperium, but it feels good and strong. Feels like it could kill someone. That it could do great harm to those things that are dangerous to you, those things that you fear. And that is the impression you have of this sword.
he'll keep it in his hand, but he doesn't run sword first. It's kind of like down by his side. He can always cast it away if there's any hint of being bad for him. And he starts walking towards the whispers.
It is
This
a
time
grueling walk up a steep dune, and you stand the other side from Safenia, above this twisting, broken warscape of muddy trenches, the light of the fire in the sky reflecting in thick, deep mud. Safenia, you see that curve, it dropping low, coming towards you. Your eyes straight across this scape meet Donnie's, and he stands with a heretical blade in his hand. What do you do?
I yell at him to drop the weapon.
So, Safenia looks like the sister in power armor.
Yeah, except this time she's like 16 feet tall and is really shiny.
Then he just looks down and then casts it away.
And as you let it
he nods
go,
back to Safenia.
as you let it go, you hear the scream of someone falling, tumbling. And as you look, you see yourself over and over, tumbling and tussling down into the mud. And then you're gone. But you, the Donnie in the dream, you stand there opposite the sister of battle. Kipkin, your fist, your palm, your form strikes at this hardened window into space as the fire burns bright and hot around you, Vasily beside you. And it happens. It's an eruption of glass, of shards, like sharp icicles as they break, and you are sucked out into the vacuum of the dark starfield. And Vasily, roll a d20.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that again. Why don't we? 7.
You are sucked out into the void of space as well.
What a surprise! Do I see the terminal stay? Is that face following me, or
It's like a portrait in a gallery. Its eyes just seem to follow you. Even when the angle is impossible and you should no longer be able to see that terminal, you know that face is still there. Still watching.
Whew, I wouldn't like that. Crap. I'm just gonna look to Kifkin and see his reactions to this. This is way far afield for what Vasily's used to, but if that mental image of that split face and the blood letter doesn't let up, I'm gonna try and strike the face somehow. Even if it's me just mentally punching it, over and over in my head.
Okay, Kipkin, how do you respond? Let's deal with that first.
As the glass breaks, just sort of gives into the flow of the vacuum. As even in a place that is not real, reality creeps in and tumbles. The flames slowly dying out on his racked form as he continues to tumble away, that suction pulling him more and more to the planet below. Once the panic starts to die down, turns back and sees the distance between him and Vasily, him just sort of lingering, this gravity of this worry tethering him to the ship. And just in this ragged, raspy voice that should not travel across the void, whatever it is, let go. Let go. Fall.
Great. Great. I just sort of repeat that and just try to fall and follow Kifkin's advice.
Have you ever tried to fall through a swimming pool? The conscious effort it takes to force your body to close up, to sink down. That weight as your ears pop, you turn, the weight pushing on you. Now stood in the broken hole in the ship, the demon watches. The demon waits. And you fall. Kipkin and Vasily, you tumble through the atmosphere, but instead of feeling hot as it should if physics applied, you feel icy cold. You feel the winds that tear at you. Sophenia, the comet splits into two twin-tailed comets. One is falling faster than the other. And Donnie, you see this too.
Are they still headed directly for me?
It seems so.
Donnie looks around for cover.
Cover
She's
is
gonna
easy
keep-
to... Go ahead. That's fine. What is she going to do? Tell me.
She's going to keep watching them. She doesn't know if these are actually comets, if this is something else coming at her. This is a battlefield after all. And she's going to prepare herself to either get out of the way or to fight, depending on what is actually coming at her.
What does Sophenia fear is falling from the sky towards her?
Judgment.
Donnie, it is easy to find somewhere to hide here. The trenches are about 7 or 8 foot deep with little alcoves struck in, similar to those you would have found on a World War I or II battlefield.
He looks for something with a overhead shelter, like at intersections. You often have those, and huddles there and waits for Svenja and yells, "Take cover!"
Beneath this intersection, it's kind of like a pallet above you. There's holes in the slats, and you see burning bright these two comets, searing, bright, hot, and white. Sophenia, what are you hiding from me? And as you turn and look down at your shoes, Sophenia, you see the broken body of Matilda, her hand gripping onto your ankle.
Sophenia immediately drops her weapons and very carefully, very gently kneels next to Matilda, kind of removing her hand from her ankle and trying to determine what is broken and can she fix it.
As you see, or get a closer look at this body in the mud, you see it is basically a quarter of a torso. There's one arm, part of the shoulder, the head, and the neck.
She looks for whatever it is that had done this to the Inquisitor so that she can kill them.
Safenia, what are you hiding from me?
She's not going to answer. This is a body. It shouldn't speak. It's dead. So she's looking. This is, in her mind, this is chaos trying to trick her. They killed her Inquisitor, and she will find them, and she will not give in to their tricks.
And so the first of these comets collides with you. Great white light that's blinding. You feel the force, although no explosion, no fire, no heat. You're blown backwards and away. A great crater now before you. Donnie, you feel the earth shake and shatter. Mud, even at this distance, flying down and landing in great piles on top of your pallet that you hide beneath. Vasily, you lay in the broken and muddy earth.
With the fall, I think you would have seen that his whatever he was wearing as a shirt is completely blown off, and though there was no heat, whatever seals adorned the coat now adorn his flesh as scorch marks. The words that they carried etched into his bones. And he's from his vantage point within the crater, can he still have a direct line of sight with that demon?
Yep. You
He's
look
not.
up and it's like a CSI enhanced. It just keeps getting closer and closer.
I'm just going to face it dead on, stare it right in the eyes, and just let out this cacophonous howl. Like, from my throat would emerge, like, embers and ash, almost.
Kipfkin, the cold tears at you, rips you apart. You are reborn, reformed, and you come choking out of the mouth of Vasily.
First rule of magic is that the flesh, the sinew, the muscle, the bone is weak and corruptible. The second is that will is the only thing that matters. As words pull from the embers, ink, rivulets of paper start building himself back together. From the embers, the light starts gathering as the robes reform over this bald parchment flesh. Pulls self up from this crater. Just sort of surveys around with no eyes, looking about, disoriented, frustrated. I am not Uber Amos. I am not Eisenhorn. I am none of the old warriors. But this, I am tired of. Whatever binds us here, show yourself.
And above you, the sky, formerly on fire, now shimmers in greens and purples and pinks. And Aurora, as still there trails one of the comets, its tail split in two. And around you, your friends. You cannot see Donnie. You cannot see Safenia. Nor can you see Vasily. they are all here, of that you are certain, as you face up at the heavens.
And not even from the torn mouth, the ink, more from just the area about, like, paper being torn, a voice rips out. Steel yourselves. It will come.
Sophenia, you were blasted backwards and off of your feet. You're now below the lip of the crater. You hear these words from Kifkin. You heard the cry from Vasily. The warning from Donnie just moments before. Your ears, they ring. A low, somber note. What do you do?
She slowly gets up and is looking for her weapons within the mud in the crater, trying to find something that she can fight whatever is coming with weapons. And all of the purity seals have all been blown off of her armor. It's gone.
Roll a d20 for me.
Okay. Oh dear.
4.
Yeah.
The armor itself is cracked, exposing what lies beneath.
It's a young girl, 10, 8, something like that, dressed in a ragged uniform. And she's thin and she's hooked into the armor as if she's the one that's powering it, much the way the sister Repentious are used as engines.
A dim green light now emanates from this crack in the armor for all those who look at it. And this is where we see this life force manifested and being tubed out into the servos and connections of the machine. What weapons were you looking for, Sophenia?
Her sword.
What does that sword represent to you?
It is her weapon. It is how she fights. This is how she fights everything.
And as you look to that sword, half of it straight, blue power, the other half barbed, twisted metal.
She grabs the barbed end and will again try to get to her feet to stand and use the sword.
Okay. And you can do so, climbing back up to your feet, this strange weapon in hand, but it is your sword. There is no doubt in your mind right now that this is your sword. There's nothing strange about this. And
She
you
welcomes
hear
the barbs digging into her flesh.
And you hear echoing around you, all of you will hear this, in Sophenia's voice, the words, "We should have just destroyed everything." And Kipkin, you hear the words exterminatus and the paperwork that would be required listed out, a long list of forms of people to be spoken to. Vasily, you stand naked and branded in this crater beside the paper form of Kipkin. What are you doing?
Is that demon fucker still staring down at us? Because if so, I'm staring right back, and I'm just thinking of all the ways I can kill this demon, mainly trying to bash its skull in with my own.
Very creative, Vasily. If only I'd thought of that. And as you gaze into the eyes of this demon, you feel a hand on your shoulder. And as you gaze deeper into the eyes, bringing on this fight in your head, all the ways you could tear it apart, the ways it could be destroyed, acid and fire, explosion, weapons, bare hands, you gaze into the warp. The visions of all that Matilda had seen when she'd wandered into the navigator's chamber. And you stand before that screen, and you see the blood that trickles from his nose. Vasily disappears from the crater. Donnie.
Well, shit.
What are you doing?
Donnie, after the meteor crashes and notices there's no pain yet, he climbs out of the little shelter, looks up, and does he see Sylvania with the sword?
Yes.
Okay.
She would have her... Let's see, which side would she be on? She would be kind of half turned from you. You could see this crack, this pale green glow, something inside the power armor and the sword.
He'll approach her, and while he does so, he says, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" I don't know how to deal with this, but I know some medicine, combat aid. Probably have some with me.
He turns down, and at his side appears this medical kit, a familiar field kit.
And he pulls out like a painkiller and trying to
Tell
reach
me how
Sylvania.
Tell me how you apply a painkiller to a battlesuit.
A battlesuit would have a basically like a port for it, where a combat medic can just insert painkiller and medicine. And
instead of there being an interface, instead of there being that kind of normal slot, instead it's like a chest of drawers in the back of Sylvania. Tiny, tiny drawers, all numbered and labeled, only you cannot read the numbers or the labels. Which one do you put the painkillers into? We'll say for the sake of it, it's a 10 by 10 grid. So there are 100 drawers.
He's in doubt whether or not to give her the painkiller, and he points at them and waits for Sylvania to say anything, like even if the silence is deadly almost.
Sylvania, how do you respond to Donnie's approach? How aware are you of him?
She's probably very aware. She's on a battlefield. All those instincts are still there. And she'll almost pull away from him if he tries to reach out towards her. I'm fine. And what he would see would be that child, that young girl.
if you've been on any battlefield, you might envisage Donnie running up to a dying mate to help. It's that look in his eyes of we'll get you out of here. Okay, so where are we?
A battlefield. I don't know.
Is this real?
No. Maybe. I don't know. It's not like the other nightmares.
It's unlike any nightmare I ever had.
Some of them are like this. Not all of them.
I heard the Inquisitor earlier.
She's dead.
No,
That
she
was
called
not
me.
the Inquisitor. No, it was not her. It was chaos. It was a trick. I found
How do
her
you-
body just before the comet hit. Whatever that was, the explosion, the missile. There was almost nothing left of her.
Where?
She was right in front of me
Looks around.
in the mud, and then we were hit, and there can't be anything left of her. There was barely
He'll-
anything there.
He'll stumble towards where she was standing earlier as the meteor approached and starts looking for Matilda's body, if it's there. Muted.
Kipkin is in this crater. You see Donnie stumble up the side and into it, searching for the remains of something.
How does Kifkin look again at this moment?
You see adept's robes on a form made of parchment. There is something akin to a head. It is now spotted, bedecked with pits in the parchment. Ink is running out like blood in torrents, part of it just flowing out and other parts seemingly being pulled back into the form. It is ugly. It is wrong.
Does the face actually look like Kifkin's face?
No, it is just this wadded up ball where a head should be.
When he climbs over that ledge and sees that, he turns around and stumbles down and starts crawling away from the crater. And
I told you
when
she wasn't down there.
it's something.
Weary, the sound of crackling parchment, part of it just like flaking off because of the cold, others, the last remnants of burning embers emitted from Vasily burning away. Just this cracking sound, this crumbling sound as this form picks itself up, seeing the remnants of the vision of the forms of Exterminatus, just disgust, this deep, throaty, and this giant spitball of ink just hits the forms. And this voice that now is this dream voice, but a little bit of that actual sound of Kifkin's whininess ekes through. You may have been right, but I refuse to be your monster. And picks herself up and starts crawling out of the crater.
Sylvania would have gone.
No, Sophia starts moving towards, by all means.
Yeah, she would have gone to the edge of the crater as Donnie was like, "Gah," and looked at him with seeing the parchment and the robes, and to her that makes sense. That's Kipkin, and that's what she'll tell Donnie. That is Kipkin down there. It's Kipkin.
And what is he?
Himself.
Oh, right. I'm not alone. Right, I'm not alone. Right, I'm not alone.
But this isn't real.
It's real. It's real enough. It's real enough. Climbing, pulling, wrenching self out of this crater, bits and chunks of matted, muddy earth, clipping off, staining the pages, staining the robes.
She reached down and just grab him and pick him up.
When you first make
And lift him out of the
contact,
crater.
it's like the weight of the world, but then when there's a familiarity, he's lighter than a feather. As you just lift him up like he was nothing, like a ragged doll.
Carries him up out of off the wall of the crater, and then sets him down next to Donnie. See, it's Kifkin.
Thank you.
Donnie
Dawn.
straightens his shoulders. Okay. It's Kefkin. Are you okay?
Been better. We're trapped. Something akin to the warp. Something's wrong.
Okay. I'm not dead.
We may be. We might not be. We're between
It's a
life
nightmare.
and death. In a matter of speaking, yes.
And Donnie
Dawn
will
is
look up.
break over the planet. And as you look up, Donnie, you see still that aurora and still a twin-tail comet. You see also now emerging from the darkness another planet. Too close for what a planet should be, but it makes sense in this world. And you see this twin-tail comet arc through the sky and collide. And then the planet is gone. Huge chunks erupting out and into space. Vasily, you still feel that hand upon your shoulder. And as you turn,
Good.
Matilda stands beside you. And before you on that view screen, you see a planet destroyed, torn apart. And in the seat still, the navigator struggling.
Does Matilda look off in any way, shape, or form, or is this literally just the Inquisitor standing before me?
She appears as she has many of the times you've met with her.
Well, I know you're not, right?
You have questions for me, Vasily. Now is the time to ask them.
I'm going to stare into her eyes to see if this is really Matilda I'm talking to.
Make a roll.
Will do. It's a good roll.
That's a good roll. You stare into her eyes, seeking the eyes of the demon, seeking the void, seeking anything that isn't quite right. But her dark grey eyes simply stare back. Occasionally there's a blink, a flutter of eyelashes. But then she looks back at you. You are wasting time, Vasily. Ask. And she turns from you, bored with the game, looks out at the planet fragmented.
This is what should have happened.
No. This is what did happen. She reaches out a hand towards the screen.
In what reality?
In mine.
By the Emperor's grace, I am glad we are not in such a place.
How do you imagine the Emperor appears, Vasily? If he were a man, if he were a corporeal form that could fit into this small navigation room.
Vasily knows the Emperor is a man. The greatest of all men, but a man nonetheless.
Vasily, get to the point.
He'd look almost like a Jesus figure. Long hair, but indefinable grace, sort of permeating his form.
And this is the man that stands now behind you. The harder you try and focus on his features, the more they shift imperceptibly. But you know, somewhere so deeply within you, more than you could recognize Matilda or Kipkin or any of the others, that you know exactly who this is. And there is no doubt.
At that, he'd just sort of like fall to one knee and try to see if he could even get a glimpse of his face. But he is in awe and not afraid of what the consequences might be if he sees something more than he should.
And as you stare up, he reaches out a hand and places it on your head. And it's like a warm, trickling feeling, washing down over your scarred head, down across your face and body, into the new brands. Doesn't erase them. It soothes them. And you become aware of something. He does not speak with a voice. You become aware that the war is not where you think it is. That he has a plan. And it involves you, and Sefenia, Vasily, Matilda, and those you assemble. And he turns your head 270-ish degrees. And you get the full view of that window. And you see a tear like the one you've seen in your face before. This is a tear in space, in reality. And beyond it, you see an army, a fleet of ships, and they are pushing in. Down on the planet, Kipkin, Sefenia, and Donnie, you see the planet explode. The other one. The comet is no more. And dawn brightens into morning. And a gentle breeze rustles through. And just on the edge of the battlefield, behind where Safenia had begun, is a house. A small, simple, plaster construction. You can see damage, bullet holes, explosive marks, streaks of mud, yet still it stands. And beside it in a pen, 4 sheep. Muddy and matted fleeces. Dark black heads. Meh. They talk to each other. What do you? I'm muted poke.
Stefania shrugs and keeps going back across the battlefield.
I'm mildly insulted. But I know what my place is. Secrets inside the house. They're the sheep. We're the sheep. The sheep. We're the sheep.
And
You're mad.
I've been called that by much nastier things.
And floats along. Breeze just sort of picks up, rustles as he moves forward to this bombed out, pocked house, this structure.
A repository or a meeting place.
And Donnie, what do you do?
Donnie, he thinks to himself, there's something wrong with this guy. And he, he actually looks around, not trying to get too distracted by the sheep or the house. And he's not really interested in what's inside, and he puts his ears out, trying to listen for the call we heard earlier, if it's still there.
Roll a d20 for me, please.
I'll net 20 it.
Okay. Within that 20, as you look around the space now illuminated by day, you see the shades of soldiers fighting. You see the shadows of war. But running amongst them, you see the form of a boy and of a girl scurrying between piles of broken barbed wire, up rickety ladders, slipping in mud, sliding. They point and mouth words that you cannot hear.
As he sees the landscape change, he almost sneaks off. Not so much sneaking, he just walks into the landscape and probably sneaks out from the other two with that. And he just like takes a stroll, recognizing it's some sort of history, something that happened. And he'll walk up and observe.
And as you walk, you find that your path subconsciously follows that of the 2 children running and scurrying through this landscape. Or perhaps the landscape shifts so that it is just their path that lays before your feet. You follow them through the trenches, over the mud, through craters, hiding behind wooden structures until they reach a cliff. It looks down over an ocean that sparkles in the sun. Safenia, Kifkin, you approach the house.
Stefania is not. She's headed back across the battlefield in her original direction of travel.
Okay. Much like Donnie, you experience the same terrain. It's just It seems like miles and miles of the same. There are twisted, broken trees, there's fences, there's shells, there's mud, a lot of mud. And you eventually reach that dune that leads down to the shoreline.
She'll stay at the top of the dune. She won't go down to the shore. She'll just stay at the top of the dune where she can look all the way around. This is where she'll make her stand.
Okay. Kipkin, you push up to the house. And you reach the door. It is solid and strong and whole. Unlike so much of what is here. What do you do?
Something solid. The funny thing is, I've always been a bit of a worm. And the paper begins to crumple down, this horrific sound, as just more and more of it just gets impossibly packed. And as it continues shrinking down at the base of this door, this little parchment worm begins inching towards the crack of the door.
Inside you hear talking. Hushed, whispered, harsh voices. Although the words are not clear to you. But inch by inch, you can lower yourself and crumple and flex and go under the door.
Staying in such a small form, while difficult, taking impossible amounts of willpower, every bit of effort to stay so small, just creeps forward. The words of the conversation, while loud and unpleasant, the words mean nothing, as the concentration of just being so small is an almost impossible effort. And just creeping forward between blinking and concentrating, just getting images of what is now on the other side of that door.
On the other side of the door, the image is like a broken VHS. Little lines shimmer through it. It fuzzes. It stutters. It repeats. But you see a tableau of Matilda talking to a man who is laid up in the bed. The man, you notice, wears the inquisitorial seal proudly on a large ring on black gloved hands. Harsh words, you cannot define them. And then you see it. A glint of something bright. As Matilda raises a knife, one used for cutting bread perhaps, and down into the man's throat she brings the blade, blood jettisoned up and out. Gargling sounds, sounds of someone drowning. You feel as if you're choking. You feel something binding, constricting your chest and your neck. Your head aches. And then white light consumes your world. Sophenia, you see it emerging from the ocean. And then another. And then another. And then another. Hundreds of you. Sisters of battle. Trudging up out of the wash towards the battlefield, passing you by. They have one mission, one command: destroy. They play a jaunty battle tune as they march. It's a strange circus of horrors. As you stand there, the shore fades away. And it is a black space. You and an army of sisters.
I do my best to become a part of the group, to blend in with them. Lose myself in the middle. Just another one of the crowd.
Quick, come with me. Hurry. Someone calls to you. You just catch sight of him, the other side of these moving legions of women. Warriors.
Who is it?
What are you doing? Hurry!
Trying to see who it is.
You cannot see from where you are. You would have to leave the safety of your rank and file.
She'll make her way to the edge, trying to peer, but she's not ready to step out of the group yet. Just to the edge.
How does Safenya imagine the Emperor?
A desiccated skeletal figure in tatters of what were very fine robes, sitting in a huge throne.
You see a young man, the other side, the crowd, not someone familiar to you, but he is pointing and waving and up, back the way you have come, where the house should have been. Now there is a hill. Atop the hill, a gigantic monument, no, a throne. As your eyes scan ever upwards, over hundreds and hundreds of feet of stonework. Sitting atop it, this skeletal, desiccated figure. And you see it extend a hand, long bony finger, that points to you. And at once, all of the women of battle around you, the sisters, turn, sharp, stock still, and stare at you. Show them what you can do. Quickly.
I can't do anything.
But you said you were special. Show them.
No, they said I was special.
No, no one said you were special, Matilda.
I am not Matilda. I am Safenya.
Are you sure? You
She's
see all
actually going
this-
to look down at herself to see.
And as you look down at yourself, you briefly see a slender form in black garb, similar to the basic space outfits that Matilda wears when she travels. But then you feel this searing, white-hot rod through your mind, and the world glints and glimmers off of all of this fantastic armor around you, and that bony white finger seems to push through your skull, and the world goes to white. Donnie, you follow the children. up the coastal path to the cliff top. You see that the boy is somewhat larger than the little girl who follows. You have the impression that he has something to show the little girl. And they stand at the very edge of the cliff, and he points out the sea. And she looks. And you see as his hand reaches back, as he prepares to push her. What do you do?
Is he thinking the girl could be Matilda?
Yes. I think Donnie would probably have that impression.
He'll try to jump in between.
Okay. As you jump in between and attempt to save the Shade Girl from the Shade Boy, the hand hits you, and you are flung back from this cliff, and you fall. That sensation that flips your stomach as you tumble down. And as you hit the water, where there should be sensation, there is only bright white. Vasily. You see the Armada traveling through this rip in space. Matilda and the Emperor watch with you.
I don't look at Matilda as I ask the question, but I just sort of look out. How did you envision you would die?
I try not to imagine it, Vasily. For what we imagine quickly becomes our fate. How do you imagine dying?
Gloriously, in service to the Emperor. Or pissing myself. Falling uselessly down a pit from which I can never escape.
You see it all now, and I shall do my best about the rest. And suddenly the ship shudders, as if it has hit a wall. And you are thrown forwards, and your head smacks hard. You feel the impact of your head on the console. You feel the loss of the contact between you and the Emperor in this moment. That joyous glow that trickled down over you, and the world is white and pain. And this is where we rejoin reality.
Welcome back, I guess. Interesting.
I think I need a drink.
As we wake up, everybody can roll me a toughness save.
I need to open Fantasy Grounds. Could you roll mine for me, please, Bastian, and I'll tell you why.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
You roll an 18.
Okay, my toughness is a 2.
I'm using a luck.
Okay.
That's much better.
Yep.
Are we adding armor onto this, or is this literally just what we got?
If you were in armor sitting in the vehicle, you add armor to it.
Okay, so that's 17 plus carapace armor, which is 5. Plus I think I got a couple ranks in toughness, so 24, I want to say.
Okay. So that makes 24 for Vasily. What did
Although
you tell
I am
them?
exhausted, I don't know if that makes any difference.
I don't think so. We'll keep it as it is. 20, even if it would have only been 2, so that's you roll high enough. Sylvania has total?
It's 23 plus 4, 27 total.
Okay. Kifkin?
13.
13. And Matilda?
20.
20. Okay. And Donnie has a 12. You wake up in an upside-down vehicle that went down a slope for a meter, like 50, 60. It's in a really bad shape. The people that rolled above 15, they wake up early enough to notice that it's starting to burn. And Donnie is unconscious, and Kifkin, you had how much? Was it again?
13.
13. You're unconscious as well. So you notice Donnie and Kifkin, they don't directly wake up, and the other 3 do.
Alright, so trying to remember the car. Donnie was driving.
Mm-hmm.
Who was elsewhere? That's what I'm trying to remember, is who's positioned where in the car.
Sylvania and Kifkin were attending to Vasily, who was exhausted.
I think Matilda had maybe moved up to the front then.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Matilda, next to you is Donnie, and he's hugging the steering wheel, like just bodily on top of the steering wheel.
Yep. She is going to try and release him from, I imagine there's like some sort of harness or seatbelt going on in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Because safety first, everyone, wear your seatbelts.
Yeah, safety first.
So she's gonna try and release any harness as carefully as she can.
Yeah, you can roll me either a technology or a strength, whatever you have higher.
Okay. I can when Fantasy Grounds connects. It's still not connected.
Yeah.
You roll again for me, please.
Yeah, I'll roll again. You roll
it's loading.
a 6.
And you said strength or
Technology.
I don't think I have technology.
That
I don't
is
think that is a
probably-
thing I have.
And you don't have strength either, so...
No, I have -1 to strength, Bastian. You're not a strong person.
Yeah, so you get him further in trouble with a -1, I guess. As you try to release his seatbelt, it doesn't come loose, and you shift his body, but it only puts the harness away further as the smoke now starts to fill the cabin. At the back, Vasily and Sylvania, the 2 of you wake up.
Sylvania just tears a hole out of the vehicle to get out and just grabs Kifkin and Vasily and gets them out.
I'm gonna try and scramble away from Sylvania to go help Matilda.
Okay. You manage to get to into the cabin, and Sylvania, you easily pull away Kifkin. That's
as soon as I get Kifkin out, then I go around to tear open the door to get Matilda out.
okay. I will have Matilda, Vasily, and Johnny roll me a fortitude save against the smoke.
Hiya. Oh no. 5 plus that is 11.
And 11. So as you lunge into the front cabin, you are greeted by a whole gust of black smoke coming out of the ventilation at the front, filling your lungs, blocking any action you were about to take. Matilda had a
14.
14. That's enough. You can actually do something now, and Donnie has 14. So he is not coughing. He is breathing, but he's still on the steering wheel. It's up to you.
Matilda's going to try and exit the vehicle out her door and go around to his side to try and get him out that way, rather than try and pull him through and get him snagged on things.
Yeah. You can get to Svenja is there just about to help you. And Vesely, do you proceed into the cabin?
Yeah, I'm going to try and loosen his restraints. Actually, I want to spend a hero point because do we have those still?
Yeah, here you do.
Here we do. I'm going to spend a hero point and make it to where there's like a knife or some sort of like survivalist tool that Donnie has on his person that I can use to cut the restraints that hold him so that I don't have to turn to the chainsword on my side.
Yeah, there's definitely a survival knife next to his pistol. You pull it out. You cut the restraints, and he's loose. As Svenja attempts to rip out the door that's battered and broken, I guess. And Matilda, you can help her. And we're going to use the teamwork rule for this. So both of you get to roll an athletics, as it's a feat of strength. And if you roll a 15 or higher, Matilda, you add a +2 to Svenja's roll.
I did. I rolled an 18.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an 18. See, and Svenja rolled an 18. So that's 20 total.
Okay, 20. You get the door out, and you manage to get Donnie out of the cabin. Yay. The vehicle starts burning as you take some distance. And you're by a roadside.
Are there... Yeah, I was going to say, what sort of features are there like along the road or in the area where our vehicle has ended up?
Yeah, you did this as you were... I can't remember how far you were out of the...
We were, I think, a couple of miles, right? We weren't that far. We were hurriedly disseminating information between us. Mm-hmm. But the foot was definitely to the floor as we were disseminating information between us. So I guess like a few miles.
Okay.
Maybe a little more.
Then the features are it's rolling terrain. There's a lot of ditches, some pools from the rain that are down in the ditches, and the road basically follows a bit of the curves, and that's why there was a ledge down here, and it goes around the bend where you came from and where you would have been going.
Who's in the most...
Yeah, I was going to say, Matilda's going to take stock of the condition of our injured party members before we decide on moving.
Yep, that was exactly what Svenja is going to do. So she would probably let Matilda handle Donnie, and she would be checking Kipkin.
Okay. If I may, you'll see something similar to the dreamscape, as some of probably the blood from Kifkin rolling around the back because he wasn't secured start to creep back into the wound as tiny little nanites, autosanguine, start patching him back up. And in about a minute after being cleared from the vehicles, his eyes will just shoot open. Oh, crap. Oh. Ow. Oh. Oh, ow.
Okay, so you're fine.
Right.
Never mind.
Yeah.
And I'll go over and help Matilda with Donnie.
Yeah. Jason, you had something?
Quick note. Who has gas masks on at this point? Do we all have gas masks on? Because if not, that would be a problem, right?
Donnie has his hanging around his neck. On the
I mean, we're not right in a factory, so I'm going to be fine.
You're not...
Yeah, we're far enough in the country.
Exposure, it's just...
Yeah, so maybe just...
Plus, we all just inhaled smoke, so I don't think our lungs are too happy in general.
Fair enough.
No.
Vasily would put his on and like just sort of flop out of the vehicle and like just slowly kind of like mosey over to the general direction of the group. He's not really paying much attention.
Yeah, as you the first steps you take, there's like a fireball coming out of the front of the vehicle, making a contour behind you as the vehicle goes up in full flames, and you stride forward. Charlie, you needed a moment, right?
Yeah, but could I try one thing before I need a moment? Okay. Matilda would like to use her oh crap, I didn't remember if this doesn't work how I think it works. Maybe it doesn't work how I think it works. Never mind, Matilda's not going to do what I was going to do.
Ask.
Okay, so you know the psychic shriek? We discussed turning it into like a force.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if we did that. She wants to try and do that to put out the car. She wants to try and push all of the oxygen away from the vehicle.
Okay.
The wood force.
It will cost you a hero point to alter it to put out fires, and then you can roll me a psychic check.
She has a banging headache, but she's just like, smoke is going to attract attention, and we need to not be found right now. 10 plus 15, I think.
No, it's plus 10, actually.
Oh, plus 10, sorry.
Yeah. That will give you a 20.
Yay!
That's enough. You manage to push out the fires, and as the fires they whiff out, the vehicle. Do you have any technology?
No.
No, you don't. It looks like it's not going to drive again.
Das ist kaputt.
Yeah. The Kifkin might fix it in a couple of weeks.
Alright, Matilda's not going to worry about that. She's going to just kind of plunk down, head between her knees, kind of next to Donnie, and just deal with the epic migraine that she is having right now. And just hope that the others can do what they need to do so that we survive and we can get through this in the next step. I'm going to be right back.
Yeah.
So I think Safenya's training would have kicked in at this. I mean, and she's doing what needs to be done. She's assessing everyone. She'd have gone back to the vehicle once she's assured that nobody's immediately in danger of dying. She'd have gone back towards the vehicle to try and salvage what she can. Whether it's medical kits, first aid supplies, gas masks, anything at all that can be used to help them.
Okay. You can roll me a medicine.
Okay.
First. Should check.
I honestly don't know that I have medicine.
You can still roll me a medicine.
Okay, so
which is basically an intellect.
Intellect? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to know.
That's it? 13?
Sorry, 13. Sorry, my dog's barking. I'm trying to keep it muted as much as I can.
Yeah. A 13 will tell you that Donnie is not dying. He's stable. He is breathing heavily, though. The rest looks fine, but they were... if you go over Vesely, you'll mostly notice that most of his wounds are from the battle and not from the crash. And the same goes for Kifkin. Were you wounded? I don't think so, right?
No. I took scrapes in the car crash.
Kifkin is having a miraculous recovery. You've seen nanites before, but you probably don't know the proper name for them.
Okay.
As you approach, the vehicle.
Yeah, I would have put Donnie's gas mask on him, make sure that that's working properly. Ask Kifkin, who looks like he's recovering quite well, to keep an eye on Vasily, make sure he doesn't wander off, and go check the vehicle.
Okay. Roll me an investigation to see what you can scavenge.
Not much. I'm going to use my last luck on this.
That makes it a 12.
All right, so we're back to
that
Fantasy
added.
Grounds hating me.
So that makes a total of 14. Because luck does add 10 under 10.
Oh,
So-
right, yeah.
With 14, you do manage to find some food and water. That's unaffected, but not much else. Most of the other stuff is either burned, damaged,
All right,
or just wrecked.
so I come back with whatever I've managed to salvage. And then, once the vehicle's finished burning out, if we're still in this area, I mean, she would try to do what she could to create a shelter for us out of the thing. But for now, it's just, we have food and water. She makes sure Vasily gets water, that Matilda gets water, and that Donnie gets water. She and Kif can have a sip or two of what's left, but she wants to make sure that those three get plenty of water.
So, as Matilda, you were sitting down, hunkering down with the headache.
Yep.
As you do so, Donnie does wake up, and also reaches for his head, hits the gas mask that's been put up, pulls it away. The air is quite okay here at the moment. Looks at Matilda, and he doesn't say a word. You know he's thinking things, but
she's gonna move, and she kind of takes his hand, like when he's done moving his gas mask, and just stay still, just rest. And in the back of her head, she's thinking, "Stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it." But she's not actually projecting. She's learned that lesson for today.
did I hit my head? It looks up.
The vehicle,
Good
it crashed.
I'm sorry.
It was not your fault. And she'll take a little of that water that Svenja's brought over and help Donnie drink some of it.
Vasily is kind of chuckling to himself.
It was me driving.
Yes. Until you weren't. And that was my fault. And she raises her voice very slightly so that everyone can hear her admit that was totally her fault.
At that moment, like when the word fault comes out, Kifkin just like pops his shoulder back in, sickening like wet kafunk.
Matilda, you can roll me an insight.
Okay. 15 plus... I'm good at insight, I'm pretty sure. 5. 15 plus 5 is 20.
20. You do sense in Donnie's eyes that he's not buying your explanation. But he doesn't say anything after that. He doesn't question it.
Stefania's thinking to herself, well, that explains why the nightmares were different.
And Donnie, oxygen, like in between his cuffs.
You
We got any
require.
oxygen?
I've brought everything that I could find from the vehicle.
I'll scamper in and see what I can find. Oh.
Kip can stay. I'll go. I'm smaller than you anyway. And she kind of drags herself up to her feet and goes to the smoldering wreckage, knowing it's all about to be very hot and that the oxygen tanks, we didn't hear them go boom, so if there are any, they might still be in here.
You see, because Donnie actually has treatment, and he rolled an 18, knowing that his lungs need some fresh oxygen.
Okay. So yeah, Matilda is very carefully going to crawl through this vehicle and look for like a little first aid kit, oxygen tanks, stuff like that.
You can also roll me an investigation, and these are one-offs only, because if you fail, you don't find.
7 plus... I don't think I've got any investigation.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, I do. 9. Okay.
You're an Inquisitor.
I'm an Inquisitor. 16. I've not had to use it before.
16.
I didn't know that was a thing.
You do find in one of the trunks that are shut a small oxygen tank for that fits on a rebreather.
Okay. So she's going to be really careful removing this. She'll wrap her hands, like maybe in her sleeve if she can't find anything else, or maybe she's still wearing gloves. And she'll carefully bring this out because it's probably warm. Mm-hmm. Although the fire wasn't going that long. And she'll kind of hop out and bring it quickly over to Donnie.
Yeah. You see he's in pain, but he does fix it instead of the filter and takes some deep breaths. And he's clearly getting better by that. His coughing diminishes.
And she'll sit beside him and she'll quietly say, I think we have a lot to talk about. What you may not understand, but everyone else does. I am a psyker. I have abilities beyond those that the mind normally can manifest. In my attempt to use one of these to share with you all the image of heretical individuals, things went wrong. That is why it is my fault that we crashed.
So, well, everything I saw, was it real?
I don't know what you saw. Minds are very complicated. You may have seen daydreams, memories, metaphors.
So you spoke to me earlier about the airport, the spaceport.
Yes.
The calling, it was the same.
Yes, it was the same.
It saved a lot of lives.
That is what we do. In part, try and save lives.
So, where do we go next?
And she'll turn in the direction of that bend, and her mind is full of the image of the capital city, but she doesn't respond to the question.
He stays seated and keeps taking sips of fresh oxygen. Is there anything the rest would like to do in the meantime?
Yes. Now that Matilda is away from the wreckage, Kifkin is going to slip past and try and salvage whatever communications equipment is left in the vehicle.
Okay. You can also roll me an investigation.
25.
25. You do find a broken medium-range radio, something that would get several miles out. You can probably repair it with your skills. You know that you can repair it. Just a matter of time. So that's what you find in communications.
Yeah, grab that and maybe remove one of the interior lights, pull out the circuitry, grab whatever little shards of metal are around, and he's gonna just plant himself by the side of the vehicle and start tooling around trying to fix this radio.
Okay. You get to work. Then I will secretly roll a what's your technology modifier?
Plus 10.
Okay. It will take you quite some time to fix it, and once you try it, you'll know the result. Vasily, did you do anything?
Yeah, I think after the tension between Donnie and Matilda dies down, he would probably take a seat opposite him and begin the process of inspecting his weaponry, his flamer and his chainsword for damages and whatnot. But I think he'd have a question for Matilda that he would want to ask but won't unless the opportunity presents itself. In the silence, I suppose it's better than anything. Vasily would turn to Matilda and ask point blank, the ones that I spoke to so long ago, when first you approached, do you know where they
What
are?
about... No. I do not.
Did you save them? As we are supposed to.
I filled in the paperwork. You will need to speak to Kifkin to get answers to your questions, Vasily. Our definitions of save change and are different. It's about perspective and context. The Emperor's paperwork believes they are saved. But no, they're not saved. They are tucked away.
And the navigator, was he saved in a similar vein? We both saw him.
He was dead when we found him. He was old. He was weak.
When we found him. But I wonder how it was when you found him.
Vasily, what is it that you mean to ask me?
I'm not sure myself, but I do know this. Your visions, whatever awaits us, they don't frighten me. I should hope that the same fearlessness infects you. And, you, my dear friend. And he taps the shoulder of Donnie. Oh, for the children have a higher calling.
Be careful, Vasily. Be very careful.
Likewise, Madam Inquisitor. He'd just go back to inspecting his weapons.
And Matilda abjectly looks at the opposite direction to Vasily.
Once Safenya's done what she can, that she's up and she's actually patrolling, checking out the area. How far away are they? Is there any threats coming? What's the terrain look like? Is there anything on the horizon?
Yeah. So, yeah, let's while you do that, Kifkin manages to fix the radio. At least, well, he thinks so. I think you're muted.
Tap, 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 tap.
Not unlike the radio.
By the holy grace of the Omnissiah, I call upon the most humble of devices, this your supplicant, to ignite you in the fires within you, within the greater whole of cognition. Please.
Oh, just speak into the bloody thing. Call out as I see you praying.
Everything has a machine spirit, Vasily. I don't want to piss this thing off more than it already is. And then turn it on and try and get a signal.
You turn it on, the lights go on as they should, and there's a channel selection you can do. You know some of the channels used here, like the factory channels. Arbeit has their own regular channel, which is the first on this machine, as it's from an Arbeit vehicle.
Just going to have everything on. I'm not going to have the mic on, but I'm going to scan through the channels real quick. See what comes through and what chatters there.
There is chatter, I believe, there were Arbeits left at the facility, correct? If I'm correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. You do hear some chatter about preparations for... did you leave any orders for them, by the way? As you left? I can't remember.
No, we were evacuating very rapidly.
Yeah.
I think that was the order, was to evacuate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's just some random chatter from Arbeits, as you would if you were a truck on the road. How are the kids?
Yeah.
Oh wait, you don't have kids. Like those kind of jokes.
Yeah. Scan through just any survival bands, any like broad spectrum announcements that this thing could pick up.
Yeah, there is a distinct SOS channel, and there's also like an open comms channel, like generic.
Gonna scan back through over to one of the Arbites channels. Probably not the main one. Probably like 2 down. The non-emergency line.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back over at the car, noting the number of the vehicle, because we just grabbed one.
Didn't you step in your own? The one you were driving earlier?
Did we?
I assumed you would have. Like,
I would guess so.
Okay.
because that's where any other stuff, personals were.
All right. So make note of the number. Hi, this is car 7273. We are in need of assistance and a tow. Came across an unidentified bit of fauna and had an accident. Vehicle is overturned. Current position is along route 38-5 on way back to the capital. Over.
As you release the button, the radio explodes next to your ear. And, if you don't believe me why that happened, I just sent Charlie a screenshot of the natural one I rolled next to the box.
And this is why you allow me to finish the right of operation.
Kifkin, easy.
Blame me for your ineptitude. Fine.
That's silly.
What?
Both of you, shush. Had enough of your talking in my brain for one day.
Stephanie is very glad she's very far away at this point.
You do hear an explosion in the background, like a small one, back from the camp, and then you hear the yelling at each other.
Yeah, she starts to around, and then she turns right back around.
I think Matilda's gonna get up and like dust herself down and just walk down this road a little way. Try and clear her head a tiny bit. And swear into her gas mask a fair amount, probably to herself.
Okay.
Take a few hits of the oxygen off of Donnie.
just grab him or his oxygen tank. Like,
I need this.
yeah. You're not sure if the message got out or not, because you don't have a radio to listen to any response.
What time of day was it? Sorry.
It is. I can't remember actually. Or I think we placed it midday.
I think it was the next morning we went
Midday or
out, and
afternoon,
then midday we would have got there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's only an hour after at this point.
Okay.
Maybe more. You don't know exactly how long the sun has.
How's
set
the
yet.
weather looking?
The weather is pretty clear. Clear green skies.
Okay. I think she's just gonna take a walk down this road. Just keep going for a while.
Seeing distinctive blue smoke coming from the radio, he just tosses it.
Yep. I'm sorry. Not. I'm not. Both Matilda and Sefenia, you can both roll me a perception check.
Okay. 3 plus
18 for Sefenia.
13 for Inquisitor.
Okay. Sefenia, you as you were looking out, you didn't directly spot anything, but then now that the Inquisitor walked past, you do notice something that is not terrain about a mile out. About the size of a human, but it's quite a bit out. But with your keen senses.
All right. She's going to. I can. I'm going to go to the Inquisitor. Madam Inquisitor, there is someone just off in that direction, about a mile away. I think it best that perhaps you stay closer to the others, and I'll go check him out. Go check them out.
The Inquisitor weighs it in her mind, and you can see this is a very facial process where normally she kind of hides things. You could literally see her going, and she then nods in a slow turn back towards the.
And then Sifenia will head in that direction, stealthing, doing her best to hide her approach towards this person.
Okay. You can roll me a stealth then. Okay.
That's a 14. Yeah.
A 14. Yeah, you think you're stealthing, and as you crest the first little hill, the dot, it just dives away, disappears.
I forget stealthing and just start moving in that direction rapidly.
Okay. You, as you run for a while in the direction, you can roll me a perception, and I will roll you a stealth.
Want to use a hero point to re-roll that?
Yeah. That's your last one for today, I think.
Yep. Oh, that's much better. 24.
As you reach the position where the person last was, you spot something like a all-terrain buggy behind a large rock that is in the process of being started.
How far away are they from me now?
This would be about 75 meters.
Within range of my hull gun.
Definitely. You don't see the person because the rock is in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's gonna start approaching and she's gonna say, "Turn it off, or I'll blow you both up."
There's no response. And as you hear the buggy start to run, you can roll me initiative.
Okay. $22.
Okay. You do get to act as the buggy pulls away. You get to react to it.
Okay.
There's one person in it. It's one, and he's basically wearing a full camo suit matching the environment.
I'm going to aim for him. I'm shooting for him. He's going to be my best because I want the buggy intact. So I'm shooting for him.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a 12.
A 12. Let me check. Because it's close enough. You shoot, and he just manages to dodge out of the way of the shot as it passes through the framework around him. It's like an open frame buggy, like a sand dune buggy, so to say. And he does rev it, and you will get another shot.
Okay, I'm definitely taking the other shot.
Also, by this time, as soon as you shoot, the rest also becomes aware of that. Sylvania found something, shot at it. And Vasily, do you have any luck or hero points you can contribute to Sylvania? If you
I've
want
actually.
to.
Oh no, I've got like loads. Let's see. As part of my luck control, I believe I can have Sylvania use one of my lucks on behalf of a skill of her own.
Mhm.
Just have to make sure that I'm getting that correct. Yep, and I've got 4 points of luck, so I'll go ahead and lend her one of my luck points.
Okay.
So reroll.
Yeah, you get a reroll from Vasily as you think of your worst enemy, and somehow you find a better shot.
That I do. 23.
23. That will hit him. I will make a. And then the first one is toughness, and the second one is a vehicle control roll. You hit him. It does wound him, but as he steers, the vehicle takes a jump over a hill, and he lands it perfectly on our four wheels as he rolls a natural 20 on his vehicle control.
I'm running after him. I'm trying to stay within range of him to keep
All right.
firing.
All right. I'll give you one more shot as you run up the hill to get clear shots before he makes a turn down.
Can I use my improved aim on this? Do I have the
That
time
would normally
to do that?
take you
Or
an
accurate
action.
attack? Yeah.
Accurate attack would work. That takes away effect and puts it on attack roll.
Yep. So I think I want to do that.
Do you also have all out attack? By chance?
Fearless accurate attack. No.
Okay, because
I have improved aim and quick draw and accurate attack.
So what you could normally do with all out attack is trade active defense for effect rank. So you can always do that, but only up to a maximum of 2. But with the advantage, you can go up to 5. So you can trade 2 active defense, which you're not using at the moment, for 2 extra effect, and that would compensate some of your accurate attack. If you were to want to do that.
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
So how much more am I going to be able to add to this, though?
You get 2 extra effect, and you can go up to 5 from your effect into attack.
Okay.
Ooh, not your lucky day. And
So that would be 10 plus 2, 12. Plus I
12.
go up to 5.
Yeah. But I assume you went up to 5. So
So that would be 17 total.
a 17 will hit.
Okay.
And how much effect is left then? Then probably 6-1. I think, right?
Yeah, because it's a penetrating 2.
Yeah, he is wounded, and you shoot him and bang on in the chest, and you see a lot of blood pouring from the wound to the other side, and you do see the vehicle disappearing around the corner, and you hear a crash.
I'm full out running.
And I am gonna roll a vehicle. The guy in the chair, he is quite dead. Because he rolled a 2 on his for toughness.
Yeah, I just kind of toss him in the back seat because we'll want to know who he is. But so I toss him in the back seat and then start checking over the vehicle.
It's intact. It's a vehicle designed to take a beating from terrain, but it's upside down.
Oh, okay. So I'll flip it over, then toss him in back.
Yeah. With your power armor assisting you, you can do that. After which, you probably return to the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. The rest. Yes, sir.
She kind of feels like a little bit. She's kind of she's got her helmet down at this point because she's riding in this open dune buggy. But it's also to hide the expression of a kid who's returning to mom to show off the prize that they just got.
It will take before you're back. It would have taken you a minute or 2 total with all the running. So if anyone wants to have done anything in those 2 minutes. Let me know.
Yeah. 1, get startled. 2, grab for pistol. 3, hide behind the wreckage.
Okay. So you're holding behind the wreckage. Jason?
At that point, I think that as Kifkin's losing his shit, Vasily would probably just try to hold up the chainsword in as menacingly a fashion as he can, but there's an obvious the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak kind of dichotomy where it's oh crap, I don't know how much I can do, but still.
Matilda is going to move with Donnie down into one of the ditches to the side, try and avoid sitting in any of the water that's maybe gathered there, find a drier ditch if possible. And she'll hand him her gun. Although I think he already has it. But anyway, there's a gun between them, and he can have it.
Okay. He takes the gun. And basically poises his ears and for any sign of approach to jump at it. And he, while he does that, he just keeps staring at you.
And Matilda is just watching the road.
And you hear a light, relatively light, high-pitched engine approaching.
Bunkers down a little bit lower.
And as Donnie peeks over, he sees Sylvania in a buggy approaching the wreckage.
Oh,
it's
marvelous.
It's
Vasily just lets the chainsword bury itself into the mud as he kind of waves.
Don't do that to the weapons, Vasily. They're impossible to clean.
There's mud everywhere now.
Yeah. He
Someday
stops, he lets go the chain and lets it turn off and that's...
You're cleaning that weapon.
He just sort of mindlessly paws at it as he goes towards the vehicle. With the dead body in the back, right? There's just a dead guy, right? Yeah, I think at that, he would have gotten on board, looked at the dead body, and kicked its feet. Oh, good of you to stay dead. That's so marvelous. And just flop into one of the seats and start cleaning the chainsword.
Yeah. Does everyone take a look at the guy, I assume?
Yeah.
Or does Matilda stay in the ditch with Donnie?
Yes, but Kipkin, you can come out. There was somebody watching us, but He's in the back seat with Vasily now, and I brought a buggy.
Okay.
He was like this when I found him. I call from the truck.
Donnie. Sorry.
Yeah, Matilda will signal to Donnie to stand, and they'll walk over slowly.
And he still in quite a bit of pain, and he he reaches for you to help him stand up. And
yeah, she'll help
stand
him
up.
without even thinking about it.
And the two of them come over the little ridge at the ditch.
And having parked, she's Vasily hopping into the back seat next to the body. Once she stopped the vehicle, Stefania is going through it now, trying to see if there's anything useful in it beyond being a useful piece of transportation.
All right. The first thing you notice as you move the body over, there's a hunting rifle there. And there is something resembling a map.
Wonderful. I hand the map up to Kipkin because he does these things really well. And then I check the hunting rifle.
And Matilda, as you approach the body, you do faintly recognize his face from among one of the cultists that was with the initiation in your vision you had with the other dead cultist before he died.
Is it the one with the brown hair?
No, that was Cornelius, actually. The one you killed down with the staff.
The handsome one? Trying to find my notes now on my list.
Yeah, because if it's Pretty Boy, then Vasily would recognize him as well.
Okay, hold on. Inquisitor. Factory workers. Nope.
Yeah, I was looking through my notes as well to find if I actually made a description of the guy.
Hang on, I will find it. Okay, hang on, here we go. Large guy who we already know is dead. Brown-haired guy. Woman with sharp nose. That's the three I have written down.
And there were a bunch of undescribed specific. It's one of those undescribed ones. But he is he looks a lot like a worker, but his skin is a lot more weathered than most others. And I don't know if I gave him a name earlier, but if I didn't, then I'll have to give him a name now. Eloy. Let's call him Eloy, just because it needs a name. He does have a name tag, and remember the guy in one of the first outposts you entered, where you said that one of theirs was out in the terrain? He mentions that name.
Oh wait, the guy that Safenya ended up beating the crap out of?
No. Actually, I think it was at the first outpost you checked.
25?
Where where there was one guy, Abel.
Okay. No, I didn't get any information at the first outpost, so it must have been sent to someone.
Yeah. If I didn't, I did.
Okay. I believe you. I think it came out when...
he is dead.
Ooh, yeah. Sifenia, would you care to closer examine our new discovery?
Of course, Madam Inquisitor. And I start looking for the telltale signs, stripping the body.
the body, as I mentioned, well, there's a big wound in his chest, and his skin is a lot more weathered than any other worker you've seen, probably from being out in the terrain in the weather. He has a survival toolkit on him, so extra gas mask filters, rations, fresh water purifier, those kind of things, and a pistol as well. But other than that, not much.
He must have been a lookout on the road. I cannot imagine why else he would be out here.
Hunting for us, probably.
Maybe.
He was quick to head out, and I, on the map, once I get it oriented, I'll show the direction that he was headed in. Is that right?
Kifkin, as you look at the map, we had the original map with the outposts marked on them. It has the same marks on it, and then it also has a drawing of your movements over it.
They've been tracking us.
He has no radio in his belongings, by the way.
Scout.
And not too far out from base. If there's no radio.
We've been
It's
tailed.
assumed,
Well,
it's assumed that he would be able to return the information quickly.
you don't always need a radio. But just with Kifkin's own suspicions peaked a little bit, he'll draw a penknife from his scribe's kit and go over the corpse, looking at it closely, and then just tears into the throat. Fiddles around, searching for what would be a sub-vocal transmitter.
Yeah, you can roll me medicine for that.
$24.
Yeah, you do find an implant, a short-range transmitter.
But then again, it sometimes pays to have some technical upgrades.
One of his allies was a psyker.
Redundancies are good. But no, short-range ban.
And if you were to have a workbench with proper tools, you could probably get more information off the implant as well.
I'll just pocket this, pulls out like a little baggie, throws everything into it.
A little bit of his vocal cord comes with it.
Yeah, at this point, just not caring, and then wipes hands off on the clothes of the corpse.
He either didn't know what just happened, or he didn't care and was waiting for us regardless.
Or perhaps he wished to execute a swift end to our meddling. And
Look,
I just
he was
sort of
only watching. He was watching, waiting to report.
Yes, which begs the question, to whom? Which
Someone we need to
raises
kill.
my point about knowing or not knowing. The nearest base is the one we just left. The one we just left in pieces. Although I am afraid how much of those pieces we may not take credit for. The remains. The artifact. And she gets distracted, thinking about that vision of that artifact that she saw not long before the chain of events that led to everyone getting a trip to Matilda's Central.
Well, the refinery that we left from to go there is only a few hours away. So we can we know that was safe. So we can head there.
We should go to the capital. They intend to keep us from going there. We don't have a lot of time. We do not hide anymore.
I start throwing everything into the buggy and make sure everybody gets loaded, ready to head out.
All right.
Because if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Bastian, the refinery where we basically recouped last time is like in the opposite direction from the capital, right?
I think I put it slightly lateral from the outpost you were at. So it's similar distance to the capital as the outpost.
Okay. I just want to make sure Matilda's logic is sound. Like, it's not like we have to... Because if it was on the way, then we could go there on the way, pick up supplies. But if it's not on the way, then we're not going there.
It's slightly on the way. And you could go there with the advantage of knowing the roads, meaning faster travel. You know where you go. And
did we see additional vehicles there? I don't know how many vehicles were there when we were there.
Earlier on, there wasn't any other presence other than the industrial presence.
Okay. Can we all fit on the buggy?
Just about.
Okay.
There's one driver's seat. There's 2 seats in the back, which can, and then you can hold on to it as well, climb on it.
Okay. Then if it's kind of on the way, I'll retcon and say that Matilda agrees with Stefania, and we'll go there, but we're just stopping for supplies and maybe a slightly more discreet vehicle. Slightly more armored vehicle, preferably. And then we'll go into the capital.
Slightly bigger vehicle.
And that's where we'll go next week. That was nice. Really nice. So let's go around our cast and crew, see what you thought of today. Starting with me today, as Matilda can do the wrap-up. Mindhost can do the wrap-up. I really enjoyed today. Sitting back, doing a bit of sound effects in the background with the accidental organ. The choir. It did fit the scene, right?
It'd been going really well. I was like, I'm not sure where you're going with this, Bastian, but okay, fine. This is what we're going with.
There's an army of sisters of battle, and they just swelled up. Like that was for me. It was.
It worked.
It worked. Yeah. I really enjoyed that part. Seeing where the mind goes, giving a bit of hints of where the future of the series might go as well. With a lot of stuff up ahead. Yeah, I enjoyed today. So I will hand it over to our mind host. Mind host.
That's my new name.
Either to pick someone else first or
like a little I think actually I would like to go around the rest of the cast so they can voice their opinions on how today went, as we are both DMs over here on this side of the screen. I can't figure out which side it is. So I think let's go around the same way we did before. Let's start with Jason.
Just Jason, please. This was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed this session. I think that Charlie, you did a marvelous job as mind host. Whatever hellscape in the warp awaits us, Basilia is certainly looking forward to seeing it through to the end. But yeah, this is just a great session. Props to every single player. And yeah, can't wait for next week.
And Cleric, how was today for you? And anything to plug? Sorry, Jason, did you have anything you'd like to plug?
Well, now that you mention it, I suppose the most pressing things will be, on Tuesdays you can usually find me over on the lovely Susanna Grace's channel, friend of the channel, you doing Grains of Truth. That would have been tomorrow, but Charlie and I both have a little bit of a session 0 going on for a game that is, well, I'll let her elaborate on that, but that'll be a marvelous little thing. And yeah, no, on Monday you can find me here, and you'll be eager to know, actually, April the 9th is a premiere happening for me. It's going to be Final Rights. It's a Nerdsmith show at We Are Nerdsmith on Twitter and We Are Nerdsmith on Twitch. It's going to be fun. Trust me. Follow and just watch my Twitter as it crashes and burns into this next month.
And if I remember correctly, is that an all tiefling game? Did I hear that rumor?
That is indeed an all-tiefling game of devilish proportions. So if you want to catch that, go ahead and follow at Final Rights. That's RITES. RPG on Twitter. And just, again, watch my face or anybody else's face that I retweet. And you'll probably get a sense of when it's going to happen. So
awesome. Okay, now to Cleric. How was today for you, and anything you'd like to plug?
Today was amazing. Safenya's, I was dreading that, having to expose her that way. And it was, she's still, I think she still managed to keep a little bit of her secrets, a few of her secrets hidden from the Inquisitor, I hope. But yeah, that was intense. That was really intense. Loved it. Wow. Looking forward to next week. Getting back to the usual shenanigans instead of the mind shenanigans. I am Kat. I'm at Cleric of Cord. I have a pinned tweet on my page. That's where you can find me. I have a game, let's see, good one tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on Madbird Streams. Wednesday, starting up with At Other Doc in Robot Hamlet versus Robot Richard III. Starting up this Wednesday. Look for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Thursdays, I'm back here with the lovely Susanna Grace as our DM for Once Upon a Time, where I will be playing a Warforged wizard named Due Diligence, who makes sure that he does his due diligence. And then Sunday nights, I am on the Arcana Code, playing a warlock with a Fey patron by the name of Trixie.
Very nice. Very nice. I was starting to think, I wonder how due diligence would fit in this game. I was like, I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't know.
No.
Pipe World Build. How was that for you? Anything you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, that was fantastic. That actually took me way back in my 40K experience, all the way back to the very first campaign of Dark Heresy, where we all got sucked into the warp by a minor demon and had to work our way out where nothing worked as it seemed, and most of our sheet was useless. No, that I had such like nostalgia feels, and this was absolutely fantastic, and just seeing everyone with their different vulnerabilities and being fish out of water was a delight. As for me, I am Pope World Build on the Twitter, World Build on the Twitch. You can find me when I am not here on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern over on Counter Joshua's channel. We continue the long march at 5 p.m. Eastern. There you can see me try my hands at playing a gnome. It's been an experience. Otherwise, you can find me in chats all over the Twitchverse. This evening, I'll probably be over at Tales from the Grim as they begin wrapping up their Lady Blackbird campaign off the table on Tuesday nights, because Urban Shadows is the thing I'm chomping at the bit to be able to experience. And then rest of the week, all sorts of other channels. There's plenty to see, folks. Go enjoy yourselves. I love you all.
And as we fade to white on today's game, I'm at Frost and Fire. You can find me on the Twitters. I have a pinned tweet which contains everything I am up to, which is a great deal of things, including coming up soon, the Game of Thrones new campaign that I will be playing in with Jason, hinted to earlier. See that? And that's very exciting, with RPG Webby, who's the acting Cthulhu DM here, leading us through the world of Westeros as we build our own house and play in the Song of Ice and Fire RPG. There's a whole host of other things coming up, and this week on Wednesday I will be unleashing my new rider of Rohan in Adventures in Middle-earth right here, 5 p.m. Eastern, with Will and the rest of the Warhammer Wednesday crew. But I have one final question, the answer of which I hope will appear in our Discord in the Warhammer channel. As all of your minds faded to white, before the pain of reality sunk in, you had a question. What is it that you would rather be? And I'd be very interested to hear all of the characters' answers as their mind flicked to that one place, that place they would rather be, somewhere out there in the universe. Take care. Coming up next is, I believe, Ravnica Unleashed. Learn to play D&D 5e with the wonderful DM Corey and the band of merry mischief makers. So stay here, stay tuned, hit the retweets, do the thing, subscribe, follow, and we will see you all soon. Bye.
See you next week.